everybody, welcome to week 8 of CIT 12. Week 8 starts a brand new unit for us. We're going to be moving from Word into Excel, which is nice. It's not one of the easiest and most intuitive of programs, but it is incredibly useful in the business world. And so you have to know how to use Excel by the time you graduate college. So we're going to cover a few things that are going on this week, just so that you are completely prepared and know everything you need to do. All right, first, a number of you have not finished your practical exam on Word. Now that was technically due this last Sunday, but as you know, you have the 1-week grace period, so it's no problem. You can still turn it in this week. Just be sure to try to get it done early in the week and submit it. That way you can start working on this week's material. Like I said, we're starting a brand new unit. We're moving on to a new chapter, so there's a lot of things in this week's a lot of things you have to do this week. And so it'd be really nice to be done with the old unit, done with the old week. That being said, you have all the way until Sunday at 11:59 to turn that in. So make sure you kind of dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure you get everything sort of set up the way you want it to be set up in that document you're editing, and then upload it before midnight on Sunday. And you should be good. Now, in terms of the new stuff we're doing this week, we're covering Chapter 5, which is all about system software and primarily your operating system, whether that's Windows, Mac OS X, or even Linux. There are lots of operating systems out there, and they are incredibly important to your computer. Without that, your computer just is a bucket of switches that can't really do a whole lot. And so system software, super important, and it's the topic for Chapter 5. A lot of good information in there. There's a lecture video in the Week 8 folder, and as always, a quiz on Chapter 5 also in the Week 8 folder. Now, your discussion for this week is all about cloud storage, all right? Essentially saving files, all of your documents and whatever you use for work or for school, storing them on the cloud, which just means on a server somewhere on the internet, so that you can access them from anywhere. There's a lot of competing companies out there. There's OneDrive by Microsoft. There's Google Drive by Google. I'm going to show you Dropbox. Dropbox is one of the first. And so I'm going to have you either set up an account or at the very least check out the video and see kind of how you might use it if you don't already use a program like it. It is incredibly helpful. It's way better than USB drives, which you can lose and which tend to be a little bit insecure. You can get viruses on them and stuff like that. It's a great way of making stuff accessible from anywhere in the world. Now, it may not be the best way of keeping things secret. We'll talk about that another week when we talk about internet security. But the idea is that you have access to those files everywhere, and they're always backed up. Any change you make on any one device, whether it's your laptop, it will sync to your desktop, to your smartphone, to your tablet, and Dropbox is completely cross-platform. So whether you've got a Windows tablet, a Google Android tablet, or you've got an iPad, it'll work the same everywhere. I even had one day where I forgot my laptop. I don't know how I managed to pick up my bag and not realize that it was lighter than it normally is, but I walked into the classroom, no laptop. Not a problem. Every single lecture I have was in Dropbox. When I worked on it the night before, it just sunk, went straight to my smartphone, and I was able to actually plug in my smartphone and just run my presentation from my smartphone. It's so much nicer. When you think about those little flash drives, I mean, they're $5, they're super cheap, really easy to use, but they do get lost. They can be damaged, right? Something bad could happen. And it's not the flash drive that matters. Who cares? $5. I mean, that's not even lunch nowadays. But the idea is that the stuff that's on the flash drive is super important, right? It's the paper you're supposed to turn in for history class. It's the, report you've been working on for work for the last, several weeks. Those are the things that are important. And so by storing stuff on the cloud, you get that sort of persistence, right? You can access it from anywhere, and it's duplicated everywhere. So no matter what, you should be able to access it, get the latest version, and know that even if your device is destroyed, right, your laptop falls off a truck, your files will be completely safe. It's a great system. I want you to tell me one way that you think you could use it in either your personal, school, or work life, and that's our discussion for this week. So back to the normal discussion pattern. You'll see the little link right there in the Week 8 folder. And then last but not least is our first lab in Excel. So Excel Lab 1 is this week in My IT Lab. Again, you'll see that note right there in the Week 8 folder. And in addition, in the Week 8 folder, you're also going to see a second sort of video mini lecture, essentially giving you an introduction to Excel. Excel is different. If you haven't used a spreadsheet before, if you haven't ever taken an accounting class before, it can feel, it doesn't necessarily feel intuitive. It's not like Word. Almost everybody has used Word at some point. And hopefully a lot of you have had some experience with Excel, but I just want to show you some of the basics, as well as why the tool exists in the first place. If you understand why something was created, it generally makes it a lot easier to use it. And so I'll show, that video will tell you sort of the history of the spreadsheet very quickly, as well as the people who invented the idea of a spreadsheet and what they were using it for. It was all about what-if questions and projecting in business. Incredibly useful tool, used by everybody. I think I tell the story about my sister-in-law, who is a creative designer, does props, all sorts of work. She became a Disney Imagineer, and when she became a Disney Imagineer, they handed her an Excel spreadsheet. Because when you get really good at what you do, they generally entrust you with a lot of money. And when they entrust you with money and a budget, that means that you have to track that budget, and you have to analyze it, and you have to do a bunch of other stuff. So, needless to say, whatever sort of career path you choose, whether it's for scheduling or keeping track of inventory of certain things or keeping track of budgets, if you get good enough at what you do, you'll eventually get promoted to the point where you have to use an Excel spreadsheet. So learn to use it now, so you'll know sort of what's out there, what kind of problems you can solve with this tool. And that's it. That's week 8. Hopefully you guys are finished with your practical exam. You're ready to start this week. If not, try to catch up as quickly as possible. And yeah, we are quickly approaching the midway point of the semester. We'll talk more about that next week. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll see you online.